Hey, it's Robert Mason from the band Warrant in the C2 cockpit, and you are watching the Crash Course Metal Show.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Crash Course Metal Show. Today we're going to be doing another Four Squared in Hair Metal. Today I got four albums here for you, and that is going to be Mr. Big's debut album here. We got Rat's Reach for the Sky, and then we also have here Great White with Hooked from 1991, and we are also going to be doing Every Mother's Nightmare debut album. So first and foremost, I am going to talk a little bit about each album, and then at the end I will give it my ranking against each other. So 4-1. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about Mr. Big's debut album. This is an album that I probably got. This is probably the newest addition into my collection because, and it's been in my collection now for 3 years. So it's not like last week, but still, this album really impressed me, I will say, because I wasn't always the biggest Mr. Big fan. I remember in high school, I had Lean Into It, their second album, which came after this, which, everyone knows about, has to be with you on it. Green Tin Innocence, 60s Mine, that's what they're known for. And then also, like a year or two later, I picked up Bump Ahead, which is their 1993 album. And I think that's actually a pretty decent album as well, all things considering. But generally speaking, I was never like a big Mr. Big guy. And then like a couple years later, I'm like, okay, I just want to get the debut album here now. I came across it and I'm like, okay, happy to say I'm very happy that it's in my collection right now because I just I think it's probably my favorite Mr. Big album as of right now. Now, you did have one single off of here, Addicted to That Rush. It was a music video as well. Now, I have to say, this might be my least favorite song on the album. It's cool for what it is and stuff. Billy does his thing on the bass, but he does his thing on the bass on like almost every song. So, yeah, there's that. But I think what I really do dig about this album is the tone, the guitar tone, and just the whole band's tone of this album. It's produced well, but not nearly as well as like say Lean Into It. So like there's a little bit of a live feel to it. I would say too, at like as far as the tonage goes, because they do tone down that tone on Lean Into It. It's not nearly as like gritty, if you will, on this album here. But like I said, Addicted to That Rush, still a good song, but just one that I don't need to really hear when I listen to this. It is what it is. So, but you also have here Merciless, good, Had Enough, like that a lot. It's like a little bit like a ballad feel. Blame It on My Youth is one of my favorite songs from Mr. Big and on this album. Big Love is another one that I really like off this album. Anything for You is like a ballad as well. So you do have a couple ballad feeling songs on here, which is fine. I have no issue with that. And they're nothing amazing, I would say, as far as like ballads. I don't think they would rank in like a top 25 or top 50, but like they're still very listenable. Don't really get skipped, on my ballad playlist or what have you. So the final track is a bonus track on, I guess, the CD, and 30 Days in the Hole, which is a Humble Pie cover, I believe. But man, I love that. This is a great cover. Probably one of my favorite covers, maybe a top 20 cover for me. Which, as you guys know, I'm not the biggest cover guy, but I mean, I'm super happy. I remember the first time I listened to this album, and that is one of the songs that really, really stood out to me. So a favorite of mine on here, which is kind of rare for me to say, especially with an album that I actually really like. So you do have, like I said, 10, depending on where you're at, 10 total tracks on the vinyl cassette, or 11 on. So 11 total tracks. I'll use 11 tracks there. Almost all of them are good. There might be one or two that I don't really get to, don't really have on the iPod. But overall, though, man, like, I mean, I always like bass. I like listening for the bass in my music, my metal. And Billy, like Billy Sheehan, what else can you say? I mean, you kind of listen to Mr. Big for actually like everyone is like a tech wizard or like a guitar or bass or what they're wizards at their instruments on in Mr. Big. So like you always got something going on and listening to it. And Billy's just over here doing his thing like throughout every fucking song, and it's just pretty cool. Like I like it, but your average listener don't really care for bass that much. But I like it, and I dig what Billy does, and he still does it on like all of the albums after this as well. But I think the tone, like I said, the tone is what really grabs me with this album as well, as far as the songwriting as well. But I think the tone I really like. It has a little bit of an edge. Like you don't think of edginess like when you think of Mr. Big, but I think with this, like just like how the tonage is on their instruments and just on the production and stuff like that, it's a good mix of nice and slick, kind of. And so like you're not going to be getting Vinnie Vincent's debut with Mr. Big's lean into it production, like combine those two, and that's kind of where I'm at with this as far as production and tonnage wise. But nonetheless, an album that I think it only sold like 300-ish thousand copies, so it didn't really do all that well. It did chart in the top 200 Billboard, but nothing crazy. Obviously, like what you what you would come to have with their next album in 1991. Lean into it, you know, To Be With You absolutely blew up the album. So there's that. But definitely, guys, this is one that I am certainly happy that I have in the collection, and one that wasn't really on my radar, but I just came across it, picked it up because obviously it's Mr. Big and I need it for the collection, and very glad I do have it. If you guys enjoy this content that we're doing here, please like the video, please share it, and then please subscribe. That helps the channel out so much, just helps everything that we're doing here. And also leave me a comment as well. Always interested to see what you guys had to say. Now let's jump right back into this video. All right, next one we're going to talk about is going to be 1991's Hooked from Great White. Now, I had this one for a long, long time as well. This is actually an album that I don't think gets enough respect, but I understand why it doesn't, because this is really the album, at least up until this point, that Great White just went dick first in the blues, total blues sounding. Now, yes, they did have that in Once Bitten, Twice Shy albums, the two prior to this one, but this this album, all 10 tracks are heavily blues influenced.
Hell yes.
Way more than the anything previous of their releases. But man, like, so you did have a single here, Call It Rock and Roll. Now, I will say this is one that I just don't. I like it. Give me this song over Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Now, I will say it is very, very similar. In as far as sound goes. Like sometimes when it comes on, I'm like, I almost skip it because I'm like, I don't want to listen to Once Bitten, Twice Shy again. Like it's very, very similar to my ears anyway. But like I said, it is better, and it is still on the iPod. But it's good. It's good for what it is. So like I said, that is a single. The other single on here is Desert Moon. Really good rocker. Pretty much the only real rocker, I would say. I mean, you say Call It Rock and Roll as a rocker, but that's kind of in the same. Like, would you call Once Bitten, Twice Shy a rocker? I mean, maybe, but not necessarily fast and heavy. Desert Moon certainly exceeds in that department. Love that song though too. Well deservingly of a single. And Congo Square actually was the first single, which is that surprises me. Really, really surprised. I mean, I like the song, but it's very mellow, bluesy. Even has like bongos in it and shit. Like, I like it, but it's as a first single, I don't know if I would go there with that. But nonetheless, though, this album still went gold in Canada and USA. But coming off of Once Bitten, Twice Shy, this album didn't really have that song, that hit, if you will, to really kind of help that momentum from what they did previously. Now, I mean, you could argue it's 1991, but somebody like Great White coming off those two albums, you would think would be able to push platinum. But like I said, there's just nothing really here to really say to your average fan, I got to get this because of this song. Which another surprising thing is there are two covers on here. You had Can't Shake It, which is a good cover as well from the Angels. And then you had the last track, Afterglow, which I consider a ballad, and that is Small Faces from the band Small Faces. Really, really good. Not too much as far as that song goes. Like it's just I think acoustic really, acoustic guitar and Jack singing. So, but still very good. Love it. But nonetheless, though, like when I the perfect the perfect setting for this album, though, I will say, is like on a spring, summer evening day, sitting on the deck, just chilling, just relaxing, and put this on the background. Every song will be perfect for you. Maybe like even like Desert Moon, like the fastest, more of a rocker song, like would still even be really, really good on this, like in that setting. But like I said, like you have different songs. Most of the songs are kind of just like on the chiller side. They're kind of long too. There's not really one song that's under 4 minutes. The only one, and it's just a shade under 4 minutes. Just call it rock and roll, which is the first song. But everything else, man, you're talking like mid fours to 7 minutes, like which is cool. Like like I said, it's a perfect like sitting on the deck album. No, no worries, just doing whatever you want to do, just relaxing. This is what I want. One of the albums I want in the CD player, as far as that goes. Like I said, as far as ballads, you had Afterglow and also Loving Kind. I think that was a music video too. I remember seeing a music video like on YouTube for that, and I don't think it was like fan made either. So take that for what you will. But that's an absolutely beautiful ballad. Certainly a top 25 ballad for me. Easy. Probably one of my probably without thinking too hard here, probably my favorite Great White ballad in the whole catalog, which they do have really good ballads all the way through. But man, this one when it comes on, man, it's just great. It is a beautiful song. Jack sings it great. And you also get, like from Mark Kendall and all of the boys, everyone in the band sounded good. Great guitar solos, great riffs. Just this is the album that really made me like Great White. I will say when I was younger, when I was really starting to get into like the blues and southern sound of music and rock and what have you. This album is certainly good. Now it's not my favorite. I don't come back to it as much as like you would think. For me, like every single track on here, you would think like I would listen to it a lot, but not necessarily because, like I said, the perfect setting is like summertime on deck. Like just chilling, whatever. Just not necessarily a party album either. It would work in a party setting, I guess, depending on what kind of like party, like just a family cookout. Like okay, yeah, that's cool, but like going out Saturday night, maybe not so much. It'd work, but you could certainly pick a lot of better options than this. But that takes nothing away from how great this is. This album, I love it. All 10 tracks are killer, especially if you like blues, like especially if you like the Great White blues as well. I don't think you can go wrong with it. Like I said, not my favorite Great White album, but certainly up there and one that I love when it does come on. Can't complain with it at all. And then obviously this is the censored or uncensored version of the cover here. The record label said no, we can't be having that. So they put the girl down into the water, and you just saw her head up, which kind of like Hurricane Slave to the Thrill. Where how they took the girl off the sex machine. It's like okay, whatever. All right, what? Take all the fun out of everything.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Nonetheless, great album cover and just great album as well. Awesome stuff from Great White. All right, next one we are going to be talking about is going to be Ratt's Reach for the Sky from 1988. Now, this is Ratt's fourth studio album. And, we kind of always talk about this album. A lot of people give this album shit, and I'm not here for that. I like this album. I mean, I do know a couple different people that say this might be their favorite Rat album, which I'm not going to go that far wholehearted. I'm not going there. But it is a good album. I'm not gonna talk shit here on it. It's I could listen to almost every track and be fine. Now I will say the production is pretty slick. Um, this is probably of the original run. This is probably the least edgy that Rat sounded. This album, certainly because of the songwriting. Because there are some songs that are um pretty melodic even for Rat and even for like Detonator. Like a lot of people say, oh, Detonator is their most melodic album, which I mean, I wouldn't say it's their most melodic because that is a lot more edgier, especially with the guitar work, than say this album. So I would disagree in that aspect. But overall, I would say this is certainly if someone is not really into metal and just likes mainstream stuff, this would probably be the album that they could probably work with, let you listen to, in the car or whatever, like than any other Rat album. But as far as like the songs here, you have City to City, which is a great opening track. I love that song. I Want a Woman was a single, and then you also had Way Cool Jr., which was a single. I like it. I like horns in my heavy metal, no matter which subgenre it is. I like the horns. Now, not in every song and every part of the song. Okay, it's very good when it's needed in spots. It's fine. I like it a lot. So Waco Jr. doesn't offend me like a lot of people, like it does a lot of people. But I Want a Woman, like I said, it's a good song. It's a solid track, but I totally get why at the time this didn't sell that well, this album, because you're coming out with I Want a Woman as a single, and it's kind of like, as far as like the song, especially coming from the previous three albums, like, like I said, you're edgier. And this album, you're doing I Want a Woman, and, there are people that don't like horns in their metal. So there you go with Way Cool Jr. as the first single, and that's kind of hurting you right off the bat then too. But as far as other songs on here, I Want to Love You Tonight is kind of like a ballad type deal. I like it. Chain Reaction, very melodic, mainstream stuff, sounding song. Bottom Line's cool. What's It Gonna Be? I like the final track as well. What I'm After. It's a pretty decent track to end off the album. I like it. This is the last album though for Rat to go to certify platinum, and because obviously Detonator only went gold. I don't know how the fuck that is. Because it's still early enough because it's 1990 to go platinum for Rat, yet one of the biggest bands in the hair metal scene. Even at that time. Now, yes, you had the problem with Robin Crosby and stuff, so that kind of hurt. And even around this time, you had people have told me that, and you can even tell from the live videos as well of this tour, like the live performances weren't the best for Rat. They were kind of just, you know, drunk, drugged up and stuff. So that makes sense. But they're at the height of their career around this time. So like they don't really give a shit. They're not they don't have the live hunger performance like they would on their first couple albums or their first couple tours. So that kind of maybe plays a part in, not helping sell this album as well. And, just the whole nine, everything against you here. Um, but I mean, I like the album. Like I said, it's not my favorite Rat album. It's not God's gift to Rat fans here, or just the heavy metal fans in general. But it's good. I mean, when it comes on, I'm cool with it. Like if someone would throw this on, I'm not gonna give them shit. I will actually say this. I will put this on before I would put on Out of the Cellar.
Who's calling me a liar, you or the machine? Because I want to know whose ass to kick.
There you go. All right. I think I said my piece for Reach for the Sky there. We'll end it off right there for you. So, last album here, guys. We are going to be going to 1990, and that is going to be Every Mother's Nightmare. And I did have to throw my Every Mother's Nightmare shirt on here because obviously we're talking about Every Mother's Nightmare. Now, this album did not really do much as far as sales wise. Did have a couple singles on here. The ballad "Love Can Make You Blind," which is a really good ballad. And then you also had "Walls Come Down," which I think it's a 5 minute 15-second song, but it is like a 30 to 45-second intro that it just not needed. And it's even, I think, on the music video as well. It has that intro, and I don't think it's just needed. I think it hurts the song more than anything. But it's still a good song though, nonetheless. Once you get past that, you're good. Because like on the iPod, I just take that 45-second intro of it out and just discard that, just and start the song like 30, 45 seconds in, whenever the actual song starts. Um, but nonetheless, you had these, Memphis boys coming in here with an attitude. Absolutely awesome stuff. 1990, great year, just in metal in general. You're starting to get a lot of the sleazier stuff, more of the bluesier stuff, more of the attitude in the hair metal scene. Hard to hold. Great lead off track. Good stuff all the way around. Love the beat. Same as Bad on Love. Great beat in that song. Great riff all the way around. Just great chorus and everything all the way around. Walls Come Down. Good song once you get past the intro. Love Can Make You Blind. Really good ballad, like I said. One that usually when it comes on, it doesn't get skipped. Even because I do listen to that song a lot. I would say, well, maybe not a lot, but like when it comes on, it's usually staying on. I'm not tired of it yet after all these years. 15 plus years of listening to this album. Then you got a couple tracks that I'm just not really here with. I can't really remember how they go. They're not necessarily on iPod. But Long Hair Country Boy is a cover from Hank Williams. I really good, another good cover as well. So we have a couple albums here because I usually talk shit on bands doing covers, but we do have a couple covers on these albums that are really good. So, you know, sometimes it happens, guys. Sometimes it happens. And then you have 10 tracks total, and then the final track here you have Nobody Knows, really good. Just even the outro of that song, like they're just drums getting hit everywhere, just all kinds of energy, just good shit all the way around. Good album, very good album. I did talk about it on one of the forgotten episodes in 1990. I will put the link to that somewhere up here and down in the description below if you want to check that out. But good album. Nothing I can't really talk too bad about. And that's what the crazy thing is here. But like I said, it didn't get certified or anything like that. There were some write-ups on them in magazines and stuff that I've seen and that I have, and it's cool to see that. But never really got their due. I don't know if it's just because it's too southern soundings, too very southern country. I don't want to say country because it has a lot more attitude and now old country. Okay, yes, but not new country. But it has that bluesiness to it. Has that not sleazy, I would say, but very close, as close as you can get as far as attitude wise to being sleazy. Just good stuff. Attitude all the way up and down. But yes. All right, so this is gonna actually be pretty tough.
2 hours later.
Fuck this.
6 hours later.
Oh my God, what am I gonna start with here? All right, so coming in here at number 4, I think I'm just gonna have to put Every Mother's Nightmare. I know, this is tough because nothing really deserves to go in number 4. As far as bad, like there's not a bad album here, but this is just a tough 4 squared, and something does have to go at 4. But like I say, if you like the attitude, this is the album. This album has the most attitude of all 3 of these combined. So if you like the attitude type deal, sleaziness a little bit with a little bit of blues and country, this is it for you. And I am full-heartedly behind Every Mother's Nightmare. It's just weird to put, like, talking so good about it, but putting it at number 4. But like I said, I don't even know if it's the most visited Every Mother's Nightmare that I visit in the catalog, actually. So it's going in at number 4. All right, so coming in here at number 3, we are going to be putting Rat's Reach for the Sky. Like I said, this is an album that when it comes on, I am cool with. I don't have no issue, what kind of really helped bump it up a spot, there was no covers. Like, this is the only album that we talked about that has no covers on it. So that's a plus in my book. And like I said, there's only like maybe one track on here that I don't really like or can get into or don't have on the iPod. But overall, though, I'm cool with the singles. Like I said, it's not God's gift to Rat fans or to heavy metal, but it's a good album nonetheless. It's a good album. If you can look past that like slick production and some horns and just very melodic stuff, I think you can. This album will do you pretty well, in my opinion. All right, so this was another hurdle to jump over here with these last 2. I think I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Big. I originally thought that this would probably go in at 1 because of how much I've been listening to it recently, since I pretty much picked it up the last couple years. I just love the tone on this album. I love even like the songwriting isn't like I don't want to say not amazing. Like it's not technical breaking new ground or anything like that, but it's cool. I like it. I like what you can certainly see the talent in all these guys on this debut album. And now, yes, maybe the next couple albums, the songwriting and like lyrical did get slightly better. But overall, though, as a debut album, this kicks ass. And I like I said, I love the fucking tone. And there's three songs on here that I always listen to when I do have Mr. Big on, and that is going to be "Blaming on My Youth," "Big Love," and "30 Days in the Hole." These are probably some of my they're probably my favorite three Mr. Big songs out of the three albums I do have in Mr. Big. So that's kind of saying something. All right. So number one, you guys should know what it is, and that is going to be Great Whites. Hooked. Like I said, the perfect album for that setting. Summer night, summer evening, whatever, summer day, and it don't matter where, as long as you're chilling, like on a patio, on a deck, just at a cookout, whatever, just chilling in a car, whatever. This is an awesome album just to chill to, just enjoy the night, just chill the nice weather, whatever the scenery is. But that is the best like setting for this album. And like I said, all the songs on here are good, especially if you like blues, especially if you like mid-tempo stuff, because like I said, there is nothing really like hard rock or nothing really heavy and fast on here, I should say. Especially not like anything off the first couple Great White albums, because I am not really a fan of that era of Great White, like their first two albums. Way too early 80s metal and rock sounding to me. I just I don't dig that era of Great White or even like metal for the most part. Like there are good shit obviously in there, but like of hair metal type deal, too early for me to really dig. But yeah, this is one of those albums when I was younger, me and my dad would say Great White is great. And this is an album as to why we would say that. Now I don't necessarily say it that much anymore because I just don't visit Great White as much as I used to, but my dad still throws it around a lot, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it because like this album and obviously and Psycho City are great albums. This and Psycho City are great albums. So yeah, guys, I hope you liked this Foursquare and the ranking because this was actually a tough one. Any one of these could flip flop, like on any given day or any given week. But generally speaking, Great White, I always enjoyed that album. And just it's surprising. All 10 songs are great. Now, yes, two are covers, I know, but they make it their own as well. So that's a plus as well. Guys, thank you for watching. Stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this Foursquare, check out the whole series right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.
Guys, thank you for watching. Stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this Foursquare, check out the whole series right here.